Okay, in this video, I'll just be talking about the first 8 problems, so the first 2.5 pages, to explain the correct answer. So if you missed any of the first 8, this will help you explain why. All right, number 1, Miko is 66 inches tall. How many feet tall is Miyoko? So if we're talking about feet, I'm just going to abbreviate here, and inches, that's what I can put in the first part of my box. And I know that 1 foot has 12 inches in it, and it tells me that he is 66 inches, so I can put my 66 right here. All right, now I know off the top of my head that 12 times 5 is 60, and then another half of 12, which is 6, gets me 66, so that's times 5.5. But if you didn't know that, that's okay. You cross and multiply. 1 times 66, which is just 66, and you divide by the lonely guy, which is 12. Okay, 12 goes into 66 5 times, so that is my whole number, so I know it's going to be either one of those two. I can cross off A and D. But I know that 12 times 5 is only 60. So when I subtract, I have a leftover of 6. So I know that 5 is my whole number, and leftover on top, I have 6 out of 12. But 6 out of 12 is not simplified. I can divide both these numbers by 6, so that gives me 5 and 1/2. So my answer is C. Number 2, the ratio of the number of miles walked by Fernando in a week to the number of miles walked by Julia in a week is 4 to 3. I'm going to underline, circle that word 2, 3. So I know that I'm talking about a ratio. So I need to look for that sneaky word 2 right here. So I'm going to read that one more time. The ratio of the number of miles walked by Fernando in a week to the number walked by Julia in a week is 4 to 3. So I'm not talking about miles and weeks. I'm not comparing those two things. I'm comparing Fernando and Julia. So those are the two things I'm talking about, Fernando and Julia. And it tells me Fernando to Julia. Fernando is talked about first, so that means that the 4 goes with him. Julia is talked about second, so the 3 goes with her. So 4 Fernando miles, 3 Julia miles. Okay, Julia walks 15 miles. I'm going to put my 15 in my Julia row. How many miles did Fernando walk? So I can scale here. I can see that 3 times 5 equals 15. Do the same thing up here. So 4 times 5 is 20 miles. A school bus driver can travel at a rate of 300 miles on 25 gallons of gasoline. Which set of equivalent expressions represents the miles per gallon? That word per tells me that's where I'm going to divide. So I'm dividing miles by gallons, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and fill in what I know. I see 300 miles, so that goes on my my mile side, divided by, and the gallons I see is 25 gallons. So that means I'm dividing 300 by 25. So whenever I read a fraction top to bottom, it goes like this: 300 divided by 25, 300 divided by 25. Those are both good. But this one says 25 divided by 300. 25 divided by 300. So now I have to figure out which one of these matches. Remember the nerd and the donkey? So if 300 is my nerd, 25 is the donkey, 300 falls off the donkey and goes inside the house. So the only one that matches that is A. Okay, that's how I would figure that out. Moving on to the next page. The shaded region of the model represents how many cars Allison washed. So this is how many Allison washed during the church's fundraising event. What ratio is equivalent to the number of cars Allison washed? So if that's how many she washed, then this right here is the total. So I know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is the total. All right. And then Allison washed 2 of those. So I could simplify that and understand that it's 1 to 5 and figure out what's equivalent to that, but I can just look at my options. So 10 over 100 is not equivalent because I would have to multiply by 5 on the top and multiply by something different on the bottom, so that wouldn't be equivalent. But I know that if I multiply both of these numbers by 10, I should get option B, because 2 times 10 is 20, 10 times 10 is 100, and that matches B. And the rest wouldn't work because I would have to multiply 2 by 6 to get 12, and 10 by 10 to get 100, and those aren't the same number I'm multiplying by. And 2 out of 100 is just 2 tiny. All right, number 5. This one was the one where there was one of the mistakes for pre-AP. There's actually 2 correct answers. So the ratio of flamingos to penguins, I'm going to say flamingos and penguins, is 4 to 5. Okay, which of the following could be the number of flamingos and penguins? So looking at A, 24 flamingos and 30 penguins, if I multiply 4 4 times 6, I get 24, and 5 times 6, I get 30, so that one works. A is an option. Okay, I'm going to erase what I have. Give me a second. And then look at the second one, 30 and 24. Now, there's nothing I can evenly multiply 4 by to get 30. It's going to be like between 7 and 8, all right? But here, it's not between 7 and 8. 5 times 7 is 35. That's way too high, so that one doesn't work. B is not right, all right? So we want to be multiplying by the same thing. 15 and 20, so 15 flamingos, 20 penguins. Let's go ahead and try that. So 4 times 15, oh, this is the wrong one, sorry. This is the one that I fixed, absolutely. So 15 15 flamingos and 20 penguins does not work. If you had the pre-AP version, this one would have been correct also, because I believe it said 16 and 20, and 4 times 4 equals 16, 5 times 4 equals 20. All right, and then we already know that 24 flamingos can be correct as long as there's 30 penguins, so D doesn't work because it says there's 36 penguins. So for you, the answer was A and C, but if you have the corrected version, the answer is just A. Okay. Number 6, a local farmer's market sells 80 bananas in 2 days. So I know I'm talking about bananas in days. So 80 bananas in 2 days. At this rate, how many would he sell in 6 days? So to get from 2 to 6, I can multiply by 3. Do the same thing up here. I know 8 times 3 is 24, and since it's 80, I just have to add that 0 at the end. So this gives me 240. I like to work backwards to make sure I put everything in the correct place value. Since it's a griddable, make sure your bubbles are a little bit neater than mine, but 240. All right, number 7. Tamara made a snack for her family's road trip by mixing 3 cups of Chex Mix with every 1 cup of M&Ms. So they're talking about Chex Mix first. So I'm going to put a C for Chex Mix, M for M&Ms. So 3 cups of Chex Mix for every 1 cup of M&Ms. If she wanted to make a larger batch, which could be correct. So A says 1 to 3, but we talked about Chex Mix first and M&Ms second. So that doesn't make sense because that one is saying M&Ms first and Chex Mix second, but that's not what it said. All right, B, the option is 6 to 3. So to get from 3 to 6, I multiply by 2. But to get from 1 to 3, I multiply by 3. That's not the same thing. So that one wouldn't work. Okay, so B is also out. Oops. All right, 12 to 4. So to get from 3 to 12, I can multiply by 4. And same thing on the bottom. 1 times 4 is 4. So C is going to be our answer. And just to double check, I know that to get from 3 to 16, I can't multiply by anything evenly. So that one's not going to work either. Okay. All right. Number 8, last one in this video. 2 students in Mr. Field's class have different sized water containers. One of them is measured in liters. One of them is milliliters. So who has the largest container? So I'm going to use my King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. Now, you can pick whichever one. You can turn this one into milliliters or you can turn this one into liters. I'm going to turn this one into liters. So 1,493. My decimal's out here. But I'm going to go from milliliters to liters so that they can be the same. So from milliliters, which is all the way over here, to liters, I'm going 1. Ooh, whoa, that was weird. So I'm going to go from 1, 2, 3 spaces to the left. So I'm going to take that decimal and go 1, 2, 3 spaces to the left. So now it's 1 and 493 thousandths, and that's actually less. So this one's more. 2 and 45 hundredths is more because it has a bigger whole number. So Darius has the largest container. All right, see the next video if you want to see more questions explained.